Hello, I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my busy little shop. On today's episode of What's on My Workbench, I've got a custom tool holder I need to make. I need to make a tool holder for this, and I'm going to go through the steps. I've done some before. This one's pretty cool. This one's black, and I am going to do it as a pancake holster, but I'm going to do a little bit of a different twist on this one than on my last one. So I'm glad you're here today to follow along in the shop. I'll show you how I do it. If you have any questions at all, just drop them in the comments and I'd be glad to answer them. Anyway, I hope you enjoy following along. So to get started, I'm gonna make this so it'll fit on up to 1.5 inch belt. I'll probably make the hole slightly bigger than this, but this helps me to get the tool aligned how I think it should be in relation to the belt. So this represents the belt, this line across here. And in talking with the gentleman that I'm making this tool holder for, we decided we're going to do it as it's canted forward a little bit. And when I draw these, I mean, you can do it however you want to do, but I draw as if I'm looking down at the tool, you know, from my perspective. So this is up on the body. I know if it was a map, that way would be up, but it's just easier for me to do it this way because I'm thinking about how it is from my perspective. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trace the outline of the tool over the top of where the belt's going to be. All right. So to do this, what I'll end up with is 2 layers of leather, and I'm going to use some little bit thicker leather on this one. It's a fairly heavy tool, and I want to make sure it's supported well and fits snugly inside of the holder on it. And the first thing I do is I draw in them what I think should be the outline of the bottom side of the pancake. So I'll have the formed leather. So I have the bottom layer of leather, then the tool, and then the formed leather over it. And I want all the forming really to be in that front piece. I don't want the back really deformed. I want it fairly flat when I'm done. So the next thing I do is I try to figure out about where the holes are going to be located in the pancake holster so that I can then kind of draw in the outline of the pancake. So I'm going to say about here. I like about 1/2 inch. This is probably more like 5/8 between the tool and the hole, because I'm going to have stitching. It's going to come around the hole and stitching. Well, I've done it 2 ways. I've done it before. There's just 1 row of stitching, but right now I'm gonna shoot for 2 rows of stitching, and this will represent the hole in the leather, and then we'll have the pancake. And up here, I don't like this to be exposed on the back side. And the reason why, it feels like this tends to dig into your side there a little bit. And if I bring that pancake up here around there, then that makes a smoother transition from the top of this tool. And in talking with the owner, we talked about doing a retention thumb release on this one. And he seemed mixed on that, and we did decide to go ahead and put the thumb release on it, but I'm gonna go back to what his first instinct was, and that was not to have that. And if he doesn't like it, I'll remake it. And that's the thing I try to do when I'm making something custom like this. And maybe some people, you know, wouldn't be willing to do that, but I'm gonna make this and I'll hand it off. And if he doesn't like it for any reason, I'll make another one and I'll change the style to how he wants it. And my feeling on that is it gives me an opportunity to have one of these on my bench whenever I set up and show some of my custom made items. And I don't have a custom tool holster like this one. So anyway, that's kind of my thinking on that. I'm gonna have to come out here a little bit further because of where that's at. Let me think about that. You know, I could go this direction. It seemed to me, I like it when these loops line up parallel with each other. Yeah, I'm gonna come down out this far with it, and we'll see how it looks. So then the next thing I need to do is to figure out how this is all going to lay. The handle part of the tool is going to be exposed. It's not going to have leather behind it because I want to be able to get a good grip on that when I need to use it. So I'm going to start off here. Let me just kind of loosely sketch in. I want like 3/8 of an inch here for my stitch to go down the center of it. So let me just draw around here a little bit. I'm just going to draw some lines here to represent where the top of that's at, across here. You know, I like it down far like that, but I don't like, it feels like it's going to be crowded to here. So I feel like I need to pull this up just a little bit. Yeah, let me erase and we'll back up here. Okay. I think I like that better. I leave this out here a little bit long to provide a little bit of protection on here. I've seen them where people close those up, and I tend to leave them open here. I'm still not crazy about it. I feel like this should be more rounded here. I don't like that straight line. This represents the back of it. On the front, I'm going to, when I get about here, this leather here on the front will come down more like this. And that allows me to get a good grip on the grip here. All right, we're gonna go with this. And I tend to leave myself a little bit oversized here. I can make some adjustments to the final shape once I get the leather somewhat cut out. So I've got a piece of vegetable tan leather here. This is 8 ounce. It's actually, it's a little more than 8. That will give me a pretty good base, and I'm gonna use this for both sides of the pancake holster. That's fairly heavy for wet forming, but I like the support that little bit heavier leather gives. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this pattern out. So this is the pattern. This will be the outline of the complete holster, but this is the pattern for the back of the leather. And I always debate with myself. I prefer to have the finished side of the leather, the grain side of the leather, out on both sides of the holster, and then the inside will be the flesh side, or the rough side. And I struggle a little bit with that because when you have the holster removed, you'll see that rough leather on the inside. But I like to have this smooth on the outside. So that's the direction I'm going on here. So let me get this drawn on here. And I'm just putting a light mark on here. It'll be over a 1/4 inch thick where the, where it's sandwiched together on the outside. Let me get this loosely cut out first. I should just use pencil here. Let me follow this line here with my pencil. Just a little bit if I need to. That will be the back. So that's going to sit roughly like that. Obviously, it's just roughly cut out. The next thing I need to do is I need to figure out how much leather it's going to take to get from this side to this side. And all I do is I measure the thickness of the tool while it's laying there. And we are 1 1/8 inch. And it feathers down here, but not so much there. So I'm going to add 2.5. I know it'd be 2 1/4 if you double it. I'm going to add 2.5 inches to this dimension here, and it's going to come across something like that. So I'm just going to cut here. And I did that to help myself, because that'll help me kind of line up with this edge here to keep me the right orientation on this leather here. So I've got 6 inches. So I need 8.5 inches. I'm gonna make it 9 under the idea of I can always cut it off, but it's hard to add it back on. So 9 inches. So that'll sit on there about like that. And now I need to come across here. And I set this here so I can kind of get rid of some of this excess here. There, and then let me go ahead and get rid of some of this up here. I'll have more trimming to do here shortly. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of oil in both of these pieces. You know what? I'm just going to focus on the front. The reason why I'm doing that, it'll help soften this up some. I've had this piece of leather here for a while, and it's a little bit on the stiff side. So I'm going to soften it up a little bit here before we get to the dyeing part of it. So I hope this makes a little more sense now. I oiled the leather. I dampened the inside a little bit so I could kind of show you how this starts to take shape, literally. So it's going to go like this. And then there'll be a lot of molding work done here to get it to take on the shape of that tool, like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to more closely decide where this line's going to be here on the top piece of this leather. Yeah, I'm sure there's people that say, well, there's a specific, way to do that, but I just, draw it in. And then I can cut back here a little bit as well. And I'm just going to remove some of this. And I'll do the final trimming once I have it layered and sewn together. A lot of times I have people ask, wow, those are some good scissors. And they are. I really like these. I purchased these from Landwerland Leather out of Indianapolis. These are Ginger scissors. If anybody's in the sewing world, they know Ginger. They make a really nice set of shears, and it cuts right through this leather, no problem. The next thing I'm going to do is set up, and well, I'll let this dry a little bit, get the water out of this top piece here. But I'm going to go ahead and dye the faces of both of these black. All right, so I think I'm going to break this video in two parts. The first part will just be basically creating the pattern, and I'll label it that way. And then there'll be a part two, and I'll just label that as building the custom tool holster. Appreciate you being here today. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll have the other video out here in just a couple of days. Have a good day.